Hi there, Allysia here, and I wanted to just before I get into this mention a couple things. So, first off, I completed 30 days of doing live videos in all of September. I didn't miss a day, even though there was 1 or 2 days where I was really tired, such as last Tuesday, the presidential election evening. So I'm glad I got that experience behind me. It was really valuable. Now, going forward, what I want to experiment with, at least in October, is to record videos Monday through Friday, but I'm not doing them live. So the big difference is I want to improve the quality of the videos. So I want to use my good camera, my good microphone, and record videos that way. But I'm still going to film these as though they're live. Like I'm not going to do any cutaways or anything like that, even if there's a really awkward pause. But I don't feel like I need, as a personal growth experience, the opportunity to speak live. I feel like I'm already pretty comfortable with that. So what I would like to put my focus on is increasing the quality of what I am recording. Not only the visual quality, the audio quality, but also content wise. But before I get too heavy into that stuff, and I really wanted to talk a lot about quarterly planning, big life dream planning, because I spent all of last week getting into that stuff. That was the main focus of my last week. I probably spent something like 30 hours just committed to, thinking through my 5-year vision, thinking through, okay, what do I want to accomplish in the next 5 years, the next year, the next quarter, and really nailing down what I want and trying to release mental blocks that are keeping me from getting there. But we'll get to that maybe tomorrow. I just wanted to start this week off with a story. And the main reason I was thinking about sharing the story is because I'm wearing this shirt. This is a Silver Sun pickup shirt. And I got it in February. So I wanted to tell the tale of the very last trip I took before the world was rocked by COVID-19. In February, I went to Austin. And, COVID was a thing in February. There were no lockdowns that had happened yet or anything like that. But there were a case report here or there in the States. So I remember when I went to Texas, I think there were something like 5 cases in all of Texas that had been reported. And I was really nervous to go there. I almost considered changing my plans, but I didn't. Okay, so let's give you a little bit of backstory to Austin. So in 2012, I lived in Austin, Texas, because I went to a culinary school there. And it was an experience that changed my life. It was the first time I'd spent like a huge chunk of time away from home. I'd traveled, I'd kind of lived here and there, but it was really far away because I live in Saskatchewan. So different country, different environment, and most importantly, living by myself. Now, that was difficult because I spent most of the time that I lived in Austin feeling really lonely because my partner was, still in Saskatchewan. He wasn't able to come, hang out with me. And I found that so difficult. So a lot of my trip was just marked by this feeling of like loneliness and emptiness. Even though I was having these really great new experiences, I met some really cool new people. I made lifelong friends. It still was a really difficult pocket. And ever since then, I'd always had the intention to go back to Austin again, just to visit and just to catch up with people who I hadn't seen in a while. And, as life happens, these things just get pushed aside and pushed aside. And then finally in 2020, I was like, you know what? This is stupid. I'm going to go to Austin. I want to visit my old friends. And at that point, I had built an online business that basically gave me the freedom of location. So if I wanted to spend 5 days somewhere, which I did, I could continue working wherever I was. So I decided to just do it. I pulled the trigger. I didn't have a ton of money. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it anyway. This is a really important thing to do. And I had among the most magical 5 days of my entire year when I was in Austin in February. It was this perfect blend of work and play, and also this is going to tie back to my shirt, by the way. But it was this like really nice hybrid. I was like, oh, okay, so this is what's possible in life. So at the time I was working on a course launch. So I spent, 4 or 5 hours a day in my Airbnb doing work. I was by myself and with a really, drag racing down the street, with a really notable sensation of peace and of ease in being by myself. I didn't feel this like intense loneliness or isolation that in the past any solo trip I'd ever taken had been marked by. I felt this feeling of freedom and accomplishment and strength in myself, such that I I felt like I was on this really like high vibe. And I was doing piano videos. I met some really interesting musicians and had a jam session. I reconnected with my old roommate. And I also had planned a concert. So Silver Sun Pickups is a band that I've liked for a while. And they happened to be performing in Austin when I visited. So I went to their show. And as music does, it marked itself in a way, like in a permanent way. So there's one song in particular called Growing Old is Getting Old by Silver Sun Pickups. And every time I hear that song now, I remember the almost dark, almost raining sky, the group of really awesome people like in an outdoor arena. You know, I can't even imagine like being that crowded together in like, you know, so much has changed since then. But it was just, it was everything. It was the people, the vibe. I felt like I was back home. I felt like I was where I belonged, being, you know, witness to music. It reignited sort of the spirit of, oh, I want to be there. I want to be on that stage. I want to be doing that, performing. And just, it was such a lovely night. So the next day, my friend and I were working from home. You know, I was at her house. It's going to be like one of those moments I really want to cut away, but there's the cough. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so we were just sitting around her table. We're like, oh, how are we going to spend my last night in Austin? So we talked about maybe getting some supper, and she kind of just made a joke. She's like, oh, why don't you just get a tattoo, and that'll be a good way to, like, you know, live it up on your last day. And I was like, yeah. What if I just get a tattoo? I've never gotten a tattoo before. So this wasn't like, oh, you know, tattoo number 20, here we go. This is something that I'd never even really seriously considered, the idea of getting a tattoo, permanently marking my body. It's something that I know I think it's cool when other people do it, but I've never had the impulse myself. But that day, I was like, you know what? This has been some kind of wild and magical trip. Why not get a tattoo? So we called a few places and we found one that would take us in an hour. And then it was like, okay, now what am I getting a tattoo of? And I was like, well, I just went to this Silver Sun Pickups concert, and I don't know, I'm feeling this intense songwriting spirit inside of me. I've been writing lyrics and music since I was a kid. So I wanted it to be a lyric in my own hand. I wanted it to be my own handwriting. And I was like, well, it would fit, of course, if it was a lyric from Silver Sun Pickups. So we sorted through a few lyrical candidates until we landed on something. Then we Ubered to the tattoo place. And 2 hours later, from when the idea was introduced to when the tattoo was complete, I had this guy. So I don't know how well you can see this, but it says, I've been waiting for this moment, which is from Silver Sun Pickup's song called Lazy Eye. It is also a Phil Collins lyric. I've been waiting for this moment all my life. But the non-Phil Collins version, Lazy Eye, I've been waiting for this moment. Oh no, that's Phil Collins again. Oh my God. Anyways, where I'm going with this is Lazy Eye is a song that the Criminal Kid, my band, used to cover a lot. It was probably our favorite song to play live. It had such a cool energy, which was really, really fun. I got to like scream a little bit. We had this great jam session interlude that we would do. And so I felt like there was a real natural connection with that song and that particular lyric. And I just think it's a nice lyric. And now this is my handwriting. When I went to the tattoo parlor, I basically just, you know, he gave me a sheet of paper. He's like, what do you want? So I just wrote it out. And then he's like, looks good. And then he took it away. And I was like, oh, do I not need to do like a couple trial runs of the writing? So I did like a couple more versions. But basically it was like the first freehand version that I wrote out that he ended up just kind of pasting and drawing on my arm. So that is the story of my final pre-coronavirus trip. And I'm really glad that I did that because it just, it was really profound to notice the character transformation from 2012 when it was very difficult for me to be alone. I didn't have this kind of independent thing that I feel like I have more now. I just feel like I'm a more complete person in and of myself. I'm less in need of other people to fulfill me. I can be by myself. I can be alone and have a wonderful time. So that was a really cool thing to notice, that in that 8-year span of time, I had transformed as a person, and that one trip was what was able to confirm that. So anyway, that's my story time for the day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye guys.